Hey everyone, before we get into today's review, I wanted to remind you that my Instagram contest is still going on. It's the link in the description at ARTV Reviews. If you follow me over there, once I get to 1,500 followers, I am going to be giving away a vinyl copy of the newest Beartooth record, Aggressive. It was the pre-order edition, so it is a very limited, rare vinyl. I know some of you guys would love to have your hands on that, so if you would like to, check out my Instagram. I post a lot of cool stuff over there, obviously, and my Patreon is linked in the description down below. I wanted to remind you guys that I do have that. Some of you guys might have missed out on my update video. It's the top link in the description down below. You can help the videos keep coming, unlock some new series like Throwback Thursdays, help them return, along with discography reviews, updating equipment, that sort of thing. All the goals will be found over on my Patreon account. It's the top link in the description down below. I hope you enjoy my review of California. What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of album number 7 by pop-punk California-based band BLINK-182. Down one member, Tom DeLonge, one of the founding members who has been holding them back for a long time. This band broke up in 2005. Came back in 2009, but then Tom kind of dragged his feet, finally put out an album in 2011, their last album with Interscope, now being signed to a new label here. They've got a new album called California. Tom DeLonge no longer holding this band back. Hoppus considered ending the band a couple of times. Mark Hoppus, the bassist, one of the lead singers of this band, but no, they found hope in Matt Skiba of Alkaline Trio fame. They brought him into this record, and it is really refreshing to see a band invigorated with new ideas, some of them not so great, a lot of them just fantastic. BLINK-182 turn out their most catchy record in nearly 15 years, I would say. There's a lot of killer hooks on here. John Feldmann produced this record. He's worked with the likes of obviously his own band Goldfinger, Good Charlotte, I believe All Time Low on their record Future Hearts. I was a little bit hesitant because he has worked with bands like 5 Seconds of Summer, and I was hoping that BLINK-182 wouldn't just kind of go for a gimmicky arena-ready song and just hook on every single track, and they definitely don't do that. There are some darker themes here. In fact, the band were originally thinking about calling this record No Future, but felt it was a little bit too dark. That ended up being the title of one of the singles. Not big on that track at all. It feels like one of the most basic songs here, and I feel like they get kind of bogged down in this na-na-na-na. That's something that's been really working for them, I guess, in the past with tracks like The Rock Show, All the Small Things, but whenever you kind of beat the dead horse, especially on this album, it does get a little bit tedious. Fortunately, it works most of the time. They do that, but on tracks like Rabbit Hole that I really do enjoy, another one of the singles here, it kind of brings down the enjoyment of the entire track because you leave that with you, with you, with you again, and the whole repetition. It just doesn't do much for me, and I feel like a lot of Blink fans will agree with me whenever I say that I like the tracks that kind of utilize different roles. Now, whenever I was thinking about this record, what I expected from it, obviously I'm looking for, you know, pop punk moving back towards their sound that really got them famous in the first place, and John Feldmann, the producer, was vowing to return them to that. Did he do so? Yes, like I said, they've cooked up their batch of catchiest songs in a very, very long time. But catchy doesn't always mean great, but while that is the case, I feel like a lot of these songs are some of the best tracks that they've done in quite a while. I love the section in the middle, almost to end of this record, where there's 3 songs like back to back to back that just really remind me of why I love BLINK-182 in the first place. It's kind of like a gut punch, a rejuvenation, just like shock to the heart and to the system. And that starts off with track number 9, Kings of the Weekend, followed by Teenage Satellites and Left Alone. Left Alone in particular really showing me why Matt Skiba is adding so much charisma to this band. And I had a lot of worries going into this, thinking, are they just going to set up every single track? Is it just opening with Mark Hoppus doing the first verse, them kind of like teaming up and trading off during the chorus, and then Skiba taking the second verse? Yes, that does happen a lot on this record, but fortunately they play it in a way that it makes it feel like they're mixing it up. They're adding something fresh here, and Left Alone is one of the best damn hooks of BLINK-182's career. This song is fantastic. Stellar performance from Skiba, especially whenever they team up on the vocals and he's singing Left Alone and they hold it out, and then Hoppus comes in, layers in on that track. It just really sends this track over the moon for me. Kings of the Weekend comes through as an entirely catchy piece that really just calls back to some of their older styles. I think a lot of fans are going to be pleased with some of the tracks that do call back to that. It's not all just upbeat, fun pop punk with just lyrics that are just throwaway, or maybe you don't have to think about too much, because there are some tracks where I feel like if you turn off your brain, you enjoy them a little bit more, if that makes sense. But right off the bat, we get the opening track, Cynical, where immediately we see Mark Hoppus kind of detailing his thoughts on Tom and the state of the band, almost quitting, getting a little bit burned out, almost giving up Blink, but deciding to continue because of the legacy, the fans, and I don't feel like this album is full of fan service. I know a lot of people are probably going to be asking about that. It does not just feel like a cash grab, and I love that about it. Cynical is a well thought out and planned track, and I wish that it was longer, clocking in at just under 2 minutes. One of the best damn songs that Blink has done in quite a while. So much fun. The drums on it are invigorating. The guitars really just bring you to life and really get you ready and prepared for what's to come on this record. I do feel like the track that comes right after that, Bored to Death, is one that gets a little bit overplayed. The more you listen to it, the more I find it to be a little bit more basic and limited in what it has to offer. I wouldn't call it a boring or stale track by any means, but there's so many songs on this record that have a lot more of an invigorating personality and charisma and charm to them that Bored to Death kind of gets left by the wayside as a result of that. Getting back to Cynical, I do like that they included Skiba's point of view on this track and how they incorporated him. They obviously start off with Hoppus and then slowly work in Skiba's vocals here, and it seems like an outsider coming into this band. Obviously, a lot of fans are just negative towards him automatically because it's not Tom DeLonge, or they don't think it's Blink without Tom, which is absolute bullshit. Bands obviously can move forward however they need to, especially if they're trying to stay true to the band that made them what they are in the first place and not just trying to keep the name to make money or something like that. Skiba comes in and is talking about how he feels about coming into this band that has such a legacy and how he wants to invigorate this band again, give them a new battery essentially, and just wind them up, keep them going. And I think he does so. Obviously, we see that on tracks that I already mentioned. He does a great job on some of the darker tracks as well, teaming up on San Diego, a more experimental track, California, which is the title track on this record that just talks about loneliness, emptiness, and California just kind of draining the soul out of you. You think it's exactly what you want, but it's kind of a euphemism for just the darkness that one feels, the emptiness. Even though you're getting what you want, you have maybe all of this fame, fortune, 2 kids playing out on the lawn, but is it really everything that you wanted in the first place? Is it really everything that you love? And I love the dark metaphors that we see here. Obviously, Los Angeles being another one of those tracks that does play things in a little bit different of a scenario, something different from Blink-182, a little bit more of that darker atmosphere that builds up on that track, and I love how this one kind of roars to an intense chorus. Not necessarily uber catchy or anything like that, but it does get ingrained in your head just because of the powerful force surrounding it. The drums, the way the guitars kind of roar, the production choices here were fantastic, I thought. There are a lot of fun times on this Blink record though. I already highlighted the track, The Only Thing That Matters, obviously kind of calling to mind a significant other, the good times that you've had with them, and just how appreciative that you are. It makes me think of the tracks like Josie, or maybe something off of my favorite Blink album, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, that came out just around the turn of the century. Just so many memories there, and the nostalgia factor is huge, but I don't feel like they're just trying to do something that really pushes those feelings of teenage angst, or feels like they're trying to channel it, at least not on tracks like this and some of the other super catchy ones I talked about. Unfortunately, there are a few moments that do get caught up in that, I feel like, trying to really push those feelings that they haven't felt in so long, so it feels a bit disingenuous whenever they write from that perspective. Home Is Such a Lonely Place being one of those for me that absolutely does nothing for me. Just feels like a guy on a guitar, Hoppus singing here, and it just doesn't move me. It doesn't capture any kind of spirit. It just feels like a song that's there for the sake of having a slower song. And No Future is another one of those that just doesn't really do much for the listener. It's there, it's Blink-182 on cruise control, and unfortunately, I don't like the scheme or the setup of that song at all. But let's push those thoughts aside in order to get back to those more fun moments. Sober is another one that really got to me. I didn't really understand it at first. I guess I was just kind of assuming that it was about like a drink or something like that at first, but it seems to be about love the more that I look into this track, and just kind of coming down off of the high or the drunkenness of being enamored with someone. And he compares himself to just being a dandelion whenever she's a 4-leaf clover, and I really like Hoppus on this track. He comes through with a really solid vocal performance. Barker on the drums, obviously killing it all throughout this record with some very unique, obviously very Blink-182 driven beats, and on this track in particular, I feel like that was the highlight that almost stole the show. She's Out of Her Mind is another one that's pretty fun. It's talking about this girl not really knowing how to handle a relationship just because of all of the insanity surrounding it and all of these crazy things that she does, and I do find that the charm wears a little bit thin with time. I like this song right off the bat, and I still really like the instrumental on this track. Sounds fantastic, very Blink-182-esque in a new and refreshing way that doesn't just feel like they're trying to live off of the hype of some of their earlier success, earlier material, but there is lyrical content that it seems to kind of deteriorate the more you kind of peel back the layers and think about what the song's about. It just feels a little bit stale, and you're thinking, I've heard this too much from either Blink or else another band, and it just feels a little bit samey. And you look to other tracks, especially towards the end of this record, it goes on such a winning streak all the way from Kings of the Weekend pretty much until the entire end of this LP, and it sounds fantastic. There's a few moments in there that I don't care for as much, like I already mentioned, the repetition on Rabbit Hole, and San Diego, the verses do feel a little bit off, but I do like once it rolls into that chorus, it makes a little bit more sense and ties it all together. And then with the closing track, California, a little bit more experimental, those clicking drums that open things up, I think they sound fantastic. I like that they went a little bit more electronic and kind of closed things out on a different note, and I do wish that this has been the final song on the record instead of Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't know, guys, I really did enjoy this record as a whole. There's moments that bring it down, and I don't think the replay factor is going to be like super demanding on all of the tracks. There definitely are going to be ones that I cherry pick off of this, add to my playlist. I can't wait to get my purple copy of this album on vinyl that I pre-ordered as soon as they announced the album. That's how excited I was, but I definitely recommend you guys to check it out. There will be a link in the description down below if you would like to check out one of the songs from it, preview it, and maybe check out the album for yourself. I'm going to go with a strong 3.5 out of 5 for Blink-182's 7th album, California. What did you guys think of California by Blink-182? Let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. I did record an entire review for this, almost in one take too, and I didn't have my microphone turned on, so help cheer me up. Leave a like on this video. I don't know if that review was better or this one. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this one as well. I know I didn't get it done in like one take or anything like that. Not that that's important, but I do hope that you still enjoyed this. And I feel like really get my genuine thoughts out on this one. I gave it a chance more so than Neighborhoods. I do apologize for that review back in 2011. I know that was a long time ago. Most of you guys probably didn't know my channel at that time, but I kind of gave a dismissive review really only after listening to the album like 2 times, and it didn't make sense at all. So I did re-review that. If you would like to check out any of my Blink-182 reviews, obviously I did a top 10 for them recently. If you somehow missed that, you can click the little annotation or the link in the description down below if you did not see that. Check out any of my Blink related stuff. I'm sure you guys will enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon right here on ARTV.